well, this is a great opportunity to find out if these four, Noah Allen on the left side, if these four young kids belong first and foremost and can play a major role going forward. When you have a full complement of players, you tend to go for your more experienced players. Right now, Javi Morales doesn't have another real chance to play those four young players, which I love, Phil, because some of them are going to play a huge role going forward, regardless when these injured players are coming back.
Well, Edison Escona, Schneider Borgelin, two more players from the academy and the reserve team available on the bench today, with two others who, just like David Ruiz earlier this season, have been called in on short-term deals. The holding midfielder Lawson Sunderland, a U.S. youth international, and the very promising Dominican youth international Israel Boatwright, right back in training, who also could see some action here today. Again, partly due to necessity with some of the absences, but it is showing that the academy is starting to produce players that can be considered.
Yeah, absolutely, Phil. And it's amazing in its fourth year what they've produced already. Some of these young men represent either the U.S. or other countries, like David Ruiz, the Honduran under-20 national team. Benja Kremansky, a guy that's been called up by Argentina already and obviously is a mainstay with the under-20 or the under-19 U.S. setup as well. So brilliant job by Inter Miami in going local. And we all know, Phil, you and I have been here for many, many years. There's a lot of talent in South Florida, and there's only more and better to come.
Well, Gregory and Mota still out for a while, although some reports that Gregory is back in training, but it will still probably be months before he steps back out onto the field. Negri out with a concussion protocol. Arroyo also nicked, so not exactly full strength. Kamal Miller suspended after that 7-minute red card. Christopher McVeigh jumps in, but again, this is a player who was a regular starter last season and had started to see some minutes here this season.
Yes, very important that you can still draw on experience as well outside of the four youngsters that are there. And Christopher McVeigh, by the way, last year probably the best defender that Inter Miami had, playing out of a 3 or a 4, played 4 or 5 different positions as a left back out of a 3, but this is his best position, and I'm expecting him and Sergi Christoph to be solid today against a foursome Wood and Bo, the two attackers for New England.
Well, again, it has been a busy stretch for Inter Miami. They would love to cap it off with a road win today. New England Revolution, Inter Miami, and it's coming up next.
Hey, down on the corner over there, it's Krantz's Corner, hosted by WQAM's Zach Krantz. Hang out as Zach talks to athletes, celebrities, and hops around South Florida. From a game to an orange grove to South Florida entertainment, you don't need your GPS to find the corner. It's all on WQAM.com under the podcast page. See who's hanging out on the corner anytime you want at WQAM.com.
Hello, I'm Jose Hernandez, and I have been using a wheelchair since my accident in 1995.
My name is Andrea Delzell, and I've been using a wheelchair since I was 5 years old.
I guess if I had one message for the general public, it would be that I appreciate your help. But please, ask first.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that I've actually got everything under control.
I think people get nervous. They don't know how to act, so they pretend I'm not there.
What probably bothers me the most is when waiters talk to my companion and not directly to me.
I think everyone with a disability can relate to that parking spot problem.
We know you're just parking in the disabled spot for a second, but please, don't. We're just looking for the same respect and consideration as everyone else.
United Spinal Association is dedicated to enhancing the quality of life of people living with spinal cord injuries and disorders. Download our disability etiquette booklet at unitedspinal.org.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah,
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Inter Miami is on the air. Official MLS soccer in South Florida on FM 104.3 HD2.
Kickoff is coming up. Let's go.
And it is just moments before the start of this one at Gillette Stadium. The New England Revolution against Inter Miami. Thomas, you know what it's like at Foxborough, and I guess the old digs and the new. It's a lot more comfortable, I'm guessing, in the restrooms. What's it like down on the field?
Same old, same old. One year there was grass, but Bill Parcells says, no, that's not going to happen. We go back to artificial turf, a hybrid, obviously very good service. And as of late, New England drawing quite a crowd. That's going to fill in, Phil, so it'll make for a great atmosphere. When I was there in 97, 98, there was 25,000 plus in that stadium. And it's a brilliant atmosphere. We all know the Boston fans, obviously very blue collar behind their team. So both on and off the field, Bruce Arena has done a masterful job.
Well, again, talking about stadiums, and we were doing that before. What's going to happen with Inter Miami? Still awaiting the first shovelful down in Miami. Love what they're doing at Drive Pink. Talks about even expanding here for Inter Miami's rest of the season. And you know, Boston and the New England area, if they can finally get that stadium in downtown or South Boston, that franchise would just take off.
That's the reason why Bruce Arena is not retiring. That would be his legacy, he said. He's working on it with Robert Kraft as we speak.
If anyone can get it done, it probably would be the Bruce. The New England Revolution coming in fourth place. They do have a good scoring attack. Only 4 teams with more goals in the East. Also one of the better defensive teams and even better at home. Just 6 goals allowed at Gillette, where they have gone 8 straight without defeat. Inter Miami coming in. They need to find something going. Joseph Martinez has been hot and cold, going up against physical, but a smart physical back line. What does Inter Miami have to do tonight to get the win?
I think if Bruce comes out of a back 3 in Farrell, Romney, and McCoon, I think there will be some opportunities for Nico Stefanelli and Coco Jean to exploit wide spaces. And if they tuck in, maybe with some sustained ball movement, Noah Allen and DeAndre Yedlin from deep can create 2v1 situations out there. And that's when Benja Kremansky and Martinez maybe can take care of some really smart diagonal running inside that 18-yard box.
Again, there are 4 youngsters in the pitch in pink, and let's see how pretty things get tonight at Gillette. The whistle blows from Sergei Boyko, who's a bit of a story himself. Talk about the referee in a moment. Ball knocked all the way back to Drake Callender, who launches it long over Kremansky, and it bounces away. Might seem like a miscue, but this is an opportunity for Inter Miami to press the throw in. New England moving from the left to the right in their blue kits.
Yeah, absolutely. They've done that under Javi Morales now every game, setting the tone, going direct, and as you said, Phil, forcing maybe a throw in if you can't gain possession and immediately step up and set a tone physically and emotionally for yourself.
Ball across the middle. Dave Romney sweeps it over, far side to Christian McCoon, up to Latif Blessing. And it does look like they've swung DeJuan Jones over towards the right outside. Won by Miami in the midfield, quickly up to Joseph Martinez, and he takes a left-footed shot that just curls wide of the post.
Yeah, go with the back 3 right now. That means that Farrell, Romney, and McCoon, in terms of spacing, see something completely different on both sides of the ball. And there's a bit of a struggle right now connecting out of that back 3 into midfield. Great step, actually, by Kremansky, winning that ball and getting Martinez in and at least threatening that back 3 and the goalkeeper.
3 goals this season for Joseph Martinez, the 30-year-old Venezuelan, former leading goal scorer, but that was 4 years ago. Still trying to find his form now that he is healthy with his new club. And under Phil Neville, they had tried to pair Martinez and Campana, which was the plan at the outset. Didn't seem to work. And since Javi Morales has come in, they've gone with a solo striker. Ball forward, drifts off, run over, banged down by Bobby Wood, and the whistle blows from the referee.
Now, Bobby Wood played for me in a under-20 World Cup when he first came through, when I actually found him in Munich, playing for 1860 Munich when I was looking at green and watched an under-18 game and say, who is Bobby Wood playing for 1860 Munich?
That's a long way for a luau.
Yeah, and I brought him into the under-20s, and that's all she wrote. Got some senior call-ups, played in Europe for a while, back in MLS, 5 goals, leading with Hill, 5 as well. The offensive production for New England.
Looking for Kramaski, Blessing battling for him. Ball bounces over Ruiz. Also trying to get a touch to it, Gustavo Bo. Miami comes away with it. Coco Jean back for Kramaski, poked away by Boateng and out for the Miami throw. The referee tonight, Sergei Boyko, if that sounds a little unusual, it's because he was not a referee at the start of the campaign. With the Ukrainian war, Sergei Krivtsov not the only man who's made the jump. Former European referee, 45-year-old ex-goalkeeper in his playing days. You ever thought about becoming a ref, Thomas?
Never. But then again, I wasn't a goalkeeper. Most times goalkeepers are a little crazy, so that's why I probably picked this profession.
Ball picked up by Yedlin. In for Kramaski, who runs around it nicely on a diagonal towards the left. Inter Miami going again from the right to the left, near side for Noah Allen. The pride of Pembroke Pines, 19-year-old U.S. under-20, who, if he had not gotten injured, might have been part of that U.S. under-20 World Cup squad. He was before. Out to the far side, John in for Kramaski. And knocking it back for David Ruiz, who was part of Honduras' under-20 efforts. Scored a goal, got a red card. In for Joseph Martinez, who was withdrawn. Jean sliding into that center channel along with Stefanelli. Ball whipped across by Allen, but it looks like offside on the initial pass.
But still, a very good opening, almost 5 minutes, maintaining a little bit more possession actually than New England. Getting players in good position. We talked about those battles out wide. Phil Noah Allen playing in a very advanced position. Always an outlet right now for Inter Miami, and New England in that new formation, struggling a little bit. Good numbers behind the ball, but no pressure on the ball right now, giving Inter Miami a little bit of joy.
Into the 5th minute, New England and Miami still scoreless at Gillette. Ball poked away. Allen putting some pressure on DeJuan Jones, but the call goes the other way. Yeah. Talking about the under-20s, a couple of other under-20s on the bench. No real surprise after the return of Edison Ascona, but his Dominican teammate Israel Boatwright, one of 2 young academy players to get a short-term contract. And on the bench today, as well as midfielder Lawson Sunderland. So a chance perhaps for a couple more academy players to get blooded.
Yeah, I give Javi Morales a lot of kudos, obviously, because he knows these players. He coached all of those, by the way, the 6 that you mentioned, 4 in the starting 11, 2 that's gold up, and yet Borgel into that as well, and some other ones. These are guys that Javi knows well. So those decisions he's making right now is based on what he knows of these players, their performances, and how it could work on the next level. That was my big task for the 20s as well.
Throw in for Yedlin, looking for Kramaski, again using his body back to Martinez, who draws the foul. And Thomas, talking about the bench, there is a familiar name there that was not last time, Harvey Neville. There was a lot of a question what would happen to the ex-coach's son, and it appears to be the common sense thing. Send him down to the second team where he can get a lot of practice, get a game, did an outstanding performance against Cincinnati on the week goes by, and then once he gets a chance to process, bring him back onto the first team.
Yeah, absolutely. The smart way to do it. After that game where he got booed, actually, and Will Neville actually stood up for his son, and correctly so. Javi said, you know what, take a week off. We'll move you in. And also interesting, Pizarro got his first few minutes in the second half against Birmingham, and he was in the doghouse completely with Phil Neville as being the head coach.
So hamstring in air quotes?
Yes, for about 2 months.
Now comes Stefanelli across midfield for Inter Miami. Draws two. Dishes wide for Frey. Natural defender, but up into the midfield. Wide for Jean. Edge of the 18. Top of the box. A try by Stefanelli with the right foot, but a weak effort that bounces harmlessly. And now the Revs out on the break. Far side wing. Looking for Bo. Drags across the middle. Dish for Hill in the 18. Trying to front him was Ruiz, and he does force the pass back. Here's Jones. Back to the Spaniard.
Great recovery, Phil. Look at all the numbers behind the ball. That's a whole team defending and getting back quickly.
Whipped in by McCoon, the former Inter Miami player. Cleared briefly. Jones tracks it down. The 25-year-old, a left back first time they played. Into the 18. Noah Allen throws a shoulder in. Knocks Jones off balance a bit, then pokes it across the goal line for the corner.
Yeah, very important. You don't let your two wide fullbacks get stranded. In particular, Noah Allen. DeAndre Yetlin's got great physical abilities, but Noah Allen in 1v1s against Jones is a tough one. So now you got to support him a little bit quicker.
So corner kick for New England. 8th minute. Everyone find a man. Ball in. Glancing header at the front post. Tracking it down, Lawson Vaughn at the back post. Shot from distance, whistles wide. Bo saw an opening, but he couldn't quite tie the bow.
No, and Ian Frey is just looking up right now and say, hey, who's on the 80-yard box? Nobody's stepping with real urgency. And when a depth ball, a particular corner comes across, you want to have at least one or two players, Phil, on the 80-yard box for that second phase attack or prevent shots from distance. Didn't happen, so the organization needs to be better.
Now, in a situation like that, should it have been one of the three midfielders or should it have been Martinez?
Well, I mean, that all depends on the assistant coach who puts on set pieces for and against the players out there. You look at certain makeups, obviously. You'd like to think it's Martinez and Benja Kamansky, but maybe there are more in marking positions, Phil. We'll look at, again, that zonal versus man-to-man on dead balls against.
Nice little shake and bake by Stefanelli on the near side. Frey a missed touch, but Stefanelli keeps it alive, pays the price, and he is down. Advantage played, says Sergi Boyko, and up the far wing. Looking for shot, John, and he takes a low one that Petrovic is able to smother.
Yeah, Martinez and Benja Kamansky really upset because there are trailers with a good ball in. Martinez tucks that one away, but again, a very good build-up. Yetlin with a great through ball, overleg and Coke. And we talked about Farrell, Romney, and McCoon. Is there areas out wide we can exploit? On the left side already with Noah Allen, this time with Coco playing up high, giving New England lots of fits. Again, that last pass finishing key, obviously.
10th minute, up the line. Bobby Wood dishes over for Boateng, keeps it in play. The Ghanaian ex-Columbus, ex-Galaxy. Bruce Arena quite familiar. All the way back into the middle. Hill trying to slot it through, but just missed the cutting wood and all the way back to Callender.
Yeah, and Bruce Arena making some changes, obviously. Altidore started the last game. Now it's Bowen as well. And a lot of times changes will throw you off a little bit. And it looks like the chemistry right now, the understanding of Inter Miami, a lot better within their tactical arrangement than New England.
Oh, again, you play 10 games in 5 weeks. You got plenty of time to work out the kinks.
True.
Krivtsov splits the lines for Ruiz, who keeps it going for Kermaski. Can they cut it through? Not a bad idea, but well read by the veteran Andrew Farrell. 3 centuries worth of games for the 31-year-old out of Louisville.
Yeah, and a lot of times, Phil, that's a big discussion in the NBA, the NHL that is going on right now. Teams that are on a roll, that play a lot of games, but in positive ways. A lot of times you say, let's continue playing. And it almost feels like Inter Miami on a high after that win on Wednesday. And New England, who haven't played for a while, seem to struggle right now in terms of their intensity. So
Revs in blue from the left to the right.
Rest is great, but sometimes you get rusty.
Andrew Farrell keeps it going near side for Jones. Back to Farrell. Getting back to that open shot earlier, and you'd already alluded to how Inter Miami can quickly track back. You get young legs, and you do have the intensity to come back and cover, but they come with young heads that don't always know when to push out.
That's a great point. And these guys are learning on the fly right now. 3 youngsters controlling the midfield for Inter Miami in their 4th year. Pretty astounding.
Dummied nicely by Bo. Back wide for Jones. Tucked into the corner. Right side, Bo sweeps it across. Settled by Hill. Boateng now on the far side as they try and weave back into the 18. Lifted towards the 6. Cleared away McVeigh. First time he's been tested. And Jean heads it back to midfield. Blessing stripped by Kremaski. Cut right to the boot of Stefanelli. Martinez in front, checking his shoulders. Everything collapsed into the center of the park. Finally finds Martinez. Frey stripped from behind. They needed to get the ball out towards the flanks, but now the Revs have it. They head the other way. Stepping up, Yedlin to poke it free. The spin will keep it in for Jean. Back for the U.S. international. It has been a composed start for the most part for Miami.
And certain situations will occur throughout. And that's potentially in transition a 3v3 against Farrell, Romney, and McCoon. Again, the ball carrier has to make the right decision. So twice that has not happened.
Frey trying to find Ruiz, but a hospital ball instead. Revs give it right back, though. Kremaski cutting it, but he was behind the path of Noah Allen, and here come the Revs attacking the gap that Allen left. Jones trickles into the 18. Krivtsov reads it well and left foots it into the stands at Gillette. 13 minutes played, still no score.
And I'm very interested to see the 3 youngsters' interaction. There's strong body language towards each other, but they know each other. Give somebody a ball and move on, because
Ruiz
Benja
along with
Kremaski was
Kremaski.
right. Don't make the overlap right now. We just gained possession. Let's keep the ball and move it from there. And the miscue all of a sudden falls for New England to go in transition. But again, the recovery, centrally in particular, by David Ruiz, immediately becoming a 3 with McVeigh and Christoph is pretty astounding.
We talk about those youngsters. Most of them have played also on the U.S. Youth National Team. Kremaski and Ian Frey, both at one of the local powers down here, Weston FC. So they might be new to the MLS ranks, but they know each other quite well.
Probably better than most other players on this team that, again, changed in the offseason so much. Those 3 probably, with Noah Allen, also on the left side, have played more
Another
minutes.
Weston FC kid.
Yeah, probably played more minutes together the last 4 or 5 years than most other guys. And you can see that there's a good understanding of these 3 young players.
Callender sends it long over Kremaski. Falls for Jean. Left foots it into the gap, but a little shy, and up steps Farrell again.
Yeah, an interesting trend we've seen as well. They play out of that 4-5-1, but as soon as they gain possession, it's position with Drake Callender, who looks to go direct right now. Benja Kremaski gets next to Martinez, and Benja still is 6 feet 6'1". So in the air, actually, maybe he can redirect some stuff or maintain possession as well. So that's a little tactical switch by Javi Morales.
Quarter hour in the books. Ball poked free. A little bump from behind. By the way, it looks like the rain's starting to come down. It was expected a little later in the second half. 64 degrees. So we talk about Mother Nature being a benefactor to Miami when they're at home. The Revs are probably used to cold and dreary. Let's see how Miami adapts. Still no score. 16th minute. Up steps the birthday boy, Matt Polster. Wide for Jones. Allen trying to force him back. Into the middle, cutting back Bo, drags to the 18, squares to the spot, cleared away by Ruiz. Near side Stefanelli, but he slips on the choppy turf, pops back to his feet, tries to dribble through 3, and saved by the whistle. Sergei Boyko mentioned the 45-year-old Ukrainian-born referee just made the jump a couple of months ago, and already 4 MLS games to his name. Of course, then again, this is a guy that was reffing World Cup qualifiers, Europas, 74 international matches through his career. Tends to let him play, just 1 penalty and 1 red card, and only 4 yellows a game. Callender, ball on his left foot. Rain seems to have died down a bit. looking towards Polster. Up steps Ruiz, in steps Kramaski, and they'll find Frey with Allen out wide. Almost had a Beatles flashback there with the four youngsters and their mop tops on the pitch at Gillette. Slotted forward, but a little too tight for Bo. Poked free and out for the Revs throw. Fourth in the East, if they get the win, Revs could climb to third. If they fall, they could drop to fifth. Inter Miami dead last, and that's where they would stay if they taste defeat, but could climb to 12th and just one game out of the playoffs if they can find a win. That's how tight things are in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, look to play for. Long season still, Phil, and changes on the horizon, both on and off the field, particularly on the field for Inter Miami. So, yeah, you want to get some wins right now if you can. Huge game, obviously, to climb out of the basement and to stay tight with those 6th, 7th, 8th playoff positions. And the way the East is being structured right now in terms of tables, I think we'll go down to the last game of the season, where we always have excitement for the last two playoff positions.
Martinez goes well wide on the right side. Stefanelli somehow gets it back through the legs. Back to Martinez. Near side, Allen chips it across. Too high for Martinez and too shy for Coco Jean. Not a bad idea. Campana might have had a chance, but a little too high for the Venezuelan.
And this is the Atlanta United, Joseph Martinez, helping initially in the build-up, Phil, as you said, coming out wide at times to be available, and then being able to turn in midfield and find overlapping players. He's not happy, actually, with Noah Allen's last ball in again, but 4 times now into Miami through the opening 20 minutes with a better decision. Could have been in much better positions to be up in this game, 1 or 2. And New England right now, devoid of any kind of ideas, particularly in the build-up, and give Inter Miami again a lot of kudos. Operating out of the 4-2-3-1 that manipulates a little bit to a 4-4-2 at times. So they're throwing New England some different looks within their formation.
Through the line, but too far for Bo, and it will carry all the way back to Callender. First of 3 in a row at home for New England. We talked about their recent rough stretch with 5 straight without a victory, but one of the better teams at home. They'd like to make some hay. Bruce Arena, well, let me ask you, would he put a mark on the board and say 3 home games, let's get 9 points, let's get 7 points? What do you think?
Yeah, Bruce is known for that, setting short and long-term goals. Also known for his cynical, New York kind of thing and riling players up a little bit. And can you do this? I don't think you can. So has his team proved him wrong.
All slotted through. Jones will track it down at the edge of the 18, right side. Drives it across, but Callender out to grab it at the edge of the 6.
Drake Callender is so good in seeing things a lot quicker than he used to 2 years ago. And his positioning is so stellar. And most importantly, I think he's the best right now in MLS by not giving up rebounds. And that's, I'm telling you, a huge luxury, because a lot of goalkeepers get there, but parry it away in a crowd. He hangs on to it, which is unique, very special. The reason why he's with the U.S. men's national team.
Ruiz reaching in to try and get the ball, but got the man, Carlos Hill, down. Former Deportivo La Coruña playmaker. And he will get back to his feet slowly. He's the danger man. Wood getting the goals, Bo as well, but Carlos Hill, the man that seems to make this Rev squad tick.
Yeah, I mean,
almost gets it past
not
Allen.
as much in assists this year, although in every game, and it's 40 straight, he has 5 chances that he creates. He gets 5 goals, 1 assist only. The 2 guys where most assists are coming from playing out wide in Jones and Boateng. But right now, David Ruiz and Ian Frey have done as good of a job against one of the best number 10s in MLS that I've seen throughout this year yet. So Ruiz, the street boy, he'll get underneath the skin of Hill, the 30-year-old experienced guy. Ian Frey looks like a composed guy in midfield. that deals with situations from a very intelligent way for a young man, very mature.
Midway through the 22nd minute, Inter Miami dancing through the chilly raindrops here at Foxborough.
With great comfort right now. In particular, again, going back to those four young guys. McFay stepping into midfield now, clean on the ball.
Allen tries to touch it in for Stefanelli, deflected away. After this match, another road tilt against Philadelphia, but then back-to-back matches at home to start July against Austin and Columbus. Inter Miami with the throw. Frey weaves into the 18. Frey to the 6, a pirouette, but poked away by Romney. Cleared to the near side. Jones poked away now for the Revs throw. Gives us a chance to take a quick break for station identification.
You're listening to Inter Miami CM on WPOW HD2 Miami.
If you haven't heard the big news, the Clásico Colombiano coming to South Florida for the first time ever at Drive Pink on July 8th. Millonarios against Atlético Nacional, Christian Zapata, Leo Castro, and more. Visit Ticketmaster.com. Get your tickets. Millonarios, Atlético Nacional, Saturday, July 8th at Drive Pink. Midway through this opening stanza, a little bump from behind by Blessing. Down goes Stefanelli and a free kick for Miami. Ian Frey showing some skill, but then the turf bites. Natural grass, he might have had something going there.
Yeah, he's so comfortable. I mean, this is a center back throughout his youth career, playing at the midfield right now, and looking like Stones, obviously, with Manchester City.
Good point.
Inverted fullback that is so comfortable on the ball, and now actually becomes more comfortable even going forward. Scored a brilliant goal in the loss against DC. Cuts himself in a few good positions.
Out wide, Polster. Back on Thursday, celebrated his 30th. Do you celebrate your 30th birthday?
Oh, no.
After 21, I don't think there's
no.
any celebrations. Here's Farrell. Gets it back from Blessing. Hill dropping all the way back to his flank, but now being forced back by Ian Frey. Off to Romney. Across to McCoon. 2021 season with Inter Miami, played 30 games. The Venezuelan international, very promising get, but it never quite worked out.
No, those are circumstances too. We see a lot of players now playing their trade for other teams in MLS and doing quite well. The sanctions that hurt this team after that first year are still doing catch up, and finally this summer they might get away from it. So no more Lewis Morgan, no Vasilev, McCoon, Carranza, guys that are doing quite well with other teams, not because they didn't value these players, but they had no choice.
And those players are starting to turn into key players on other teams, which has to bite. And last whistle for offside. 25 minutes almost done. Inter Miami keeping the Revs at bay for the most part. Hill trying to find a pocket, but the Revs forced to go wide. Jones keeps it in play despite Allen's protest. Hill cutting across on his left, slots it to the top of the 18, and a tackle at the edge. A penalty is called. Beautiful cut from the flank by Polster, who takes it full flight. Yedlin tries to get the ball, but gets the man right on the chalk. It'll be a penalty kick for the Revs.
And just a very tough situation for Yedlin to come into. He moves his feet, but this brilliant touch actually by the big man up front with his thigh in a continuation and then manipulating his body just a little bit past Yedlin and then seeking the contact with Yedlin's thigh being up. That's a tough one. I don't know what Yedlin could have done. I still think it's 100% penalty, regardless of the intent. There is contact inside the 80-yard box, and this will be New England's first real opportunity from the penalty spot.
VAR is taking a look, but I can't see any chance this would be overturned.
No, you're right.
First penalty that Drake Callender has faced this year.
It shows you again, the discipline that this Miami back four and midfielders have created throughout this year. Don't give up a lot of goals and are disciplined don't put teams in a position they're in right now for their first time, New England and probably Hill.
Only the second penalty that the Revs have been awarded. Hill converting on the first. Yedlin dancing on the line. Can't jump up, can't touch the bar anymore. Harder and harder for a goalkeeper to distract. Hill from 12 paces, and he's standing straight away. Now hops to his right, left-footed shot. Whoa, and he gets Callender going the other way, and it hits the back of the net. The penalty for the Revs in the 27th minute, and they've taken the lead.
Hill just absolutely cold-blooded on this one. Does the stutter, although Drake doesn't move really, and that goes with pace. Side netting, even if Drake Callender guesses right, Phil, that's a goal for the leading goal scorer of New England, Charles Hill.
Now 6 tallies on the year. Also had a penalty earlier in his career against Miami.
And these are daggers, Phil, for a team that has played so well, but a team that's fatigued physically and emotionally, having the number 10 step up against the run of play, although they had a little bit more possession, but in terms of chance creation and being more daring going forward and having opportunities, this came out of nowhere. First real chance, and yes, Hill buries it.
Well, first time in history that 4 Inter Miami Academy products were in the starting 11, and it was one of the veterans who commits the mistake. For Javi Morales, has to find that shovel that Phil Neville left behind. Things were promising. We've still got some time to go in this first half.
It will be very interesting to see in his second MLS game how Javi Morales is going to manage this game. Against DC United, a red card after 8 minutes. 3 substitutions due to injuries, Phil Shane. So we didn't get to see Javi Morales, his in-game management, to change games depending if they're up or down. This will be an opportunity, not now, but in that second half, to judge Javi Morales in how he can change the formation or with the insertion of players this game.
Boateng getting tangled on that far flank. Ruiz trying to pick up the loose ball and whistled for the foul. Politicking with the referee. I'm not sure David Ruiz knows much Ukrainian, though.
I seriously doubt it, but he knows the international language, so does the referee.
Sign language for dive, but the ref wasn't buying it. Hill now on the right wing, edge of the 18, cuts behind Frey. Back for Wood, who's dragging Noah Allen with him. Such a good start for Inter Miami. But now they trail out on the far flank, and down goes Coco Jean. Might be another injury. Play continues, top of the 18. Kicked back by Hill. Jean still down. Shot from distance, up and over, and slams into the seats on the far flank. Not even sure there was contact. I think Coco Jean trying to get over to block a pass, and something gave.
God, he's in incredible pain, clutching towards the trainers right now, touching his left lower leg, I think his knee.
Kei Utsumi, the trainer, is over there taking a look.
We heard his agony through all the mics, and this doesn't look good.
Well, we were talking about this before.
Incredible.
In regards to artificial turf, and I know we're not the first, we're not breaking new ground, but one of the reasons why a lot of clubs in situations like New England's are going to hybrid turf, but the foot just stuck in the artificial turf at Gillette Stadium, and Coco Jean is down, and Javi Morales has to be trying to figure out how can we play 90 without an injury.
Incredible. You know, I referenced obviously the DC United game where they had made a lot of changes. Stefanelli went down with an injury. Saylor had to come in. Capana goes down too. We obviously know that Frey had to go in for Arroyo, who's still not playing now, so he got injured in that game. So all the substitutions by Javi Morales in this game including Christopher McVeigh that went down as well.
So let me put your coaching hat on here.
Hand a little bit right now. You go like for like.
Well, you have some choices here. Campana could come in to give you two up front.
No.
You have Taylor, who could be like for like. You go Pisado, who's a little more interior, and you have Edison Ascona, who is more of an exterior player. What do you do?
At 31 minutes, yes, you're down 1-0. You go like for like still, which Taylor makes the most sense. You can, if you feel like we can possess this game a little bit more, then maybe bringing Pizarro gives you another player that can combine a little bit, but you lose some physicality. And I'm still concerned a little bit early in this game that somebody like Boateng could take care of a Pizarro. You could play Benja out wide because he's very flexible and play. And there you see, our answer is right there. My answer is right there. It is Taylor, and it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, no reason to question Javi Morales at this one.
Well, he is quite familiar with both the senior and junior roster. Robert Taylor taking off the warm-up, putting on the jersey, and they are bringing out the stretcher. Taking a look, you could just see the foot plant, and it looked as though the knee buckles a bit.
Yep.
Not a roll, not a turn, but that can be ugly.
That's unbelievable. That really is. This potentially could be the third knee injury that puts somebody out
for a significant period of time, perhaps
for the season. Incredible.
Hope it's just a strain, a sprain, maybe even a serious one. But the way that John is on the stretcher with his head in his hands, we'll try and get you an update as soon as possible. But his day is done, and Robert Taylor will check in.
Yeah, on his way to the Finnish national team. Sergi actually going with the Ukraine to play some international football. Joseph Martinez, we have that FIFA window as well, going with his national team. Leo Campana leaving as well. And we got Drake Callender. So still busy for the guys.
Taylor, 14th game. And there the shot off the restart and converted immediately, and it's Polster again. Talked about 2 days ago celebrating his birthday. Well, he's just blown out the candle twice as Inter Miami, seemingly stunned by the injury to Jean, flat-footed as the Revs double their lead.
Yeah, there's no worse time to concede after the emotional departure of your teammate. And this is just somewhat inexcusable. There's good numbers around Polster, but both Sergi and David Ruiz get in each other's way. Polster just goes over both of them, and they both are marking on the wrong side behind them instead of goal side, Phil, where you can step into the ball and probably just get ahead of Polster to head that one out. Both behind him can't get over the big body. That's just poor individual defending by Inter Miami. Costly.
Draws the penalty and then converts.
Yep.
Looked like he missed the header, but it came off the shoulder. Might have even taken a glance off David Ruiz, but at the moment the credit goes to Polster.
Amazing.
Drawing the penalty and now converting.
Yeah, how the game can change within a few minutes. Undeserving.
Ball cleared away by Farrell, straight to Allen. Now, if you're Inter Miami, and this is the hard part, especially for a young team, nothing Javi Morales can say at the moment. They've got to figure a way to stop the bleeding themselves.
Yeah, he'll get into halftime, and then shortly needs to make some big decisions how he wants to chase this game down 2-0 on the road, where, by the way, they haven't scored in 5 of the 6 away games. Do you go for broke and potentially could get hammered? Because I said again, fatigue will play a huge role in the second half, but most of these guys have played a lot of minutes.
Ruiz flicks it over his head. Stefanelli brings it down. Across to Kramaski. Taylor out wide. Tried to make the nice run, but nothing there. Martinez tries to flick it back for Ruiz, who is pinching up, but the Revs poke it back to midfield. Nice work by Bo to keep it going, looking for Blessing. Bodies falling left and right, but the whistle staying silent.
And this might be another opportunity. I mean, you never want to give up on the game.
Wood. Ruiz tries to slow him down, grabbing him off Kristoff as he tries to backheel it, bounces back off Wood. When play stops, Ruiz might find a card in his pocket for grabbing the jersey, but at the moment, Miami with the ball in their own 18.
Do you give other young players in that second half an opportunity to prove themselves and you get a better understanding what level they're at? Or do you go with some experience first and foremost in Pizarro and others from the bench to see if you can get back into this game? Because a goal could get into Miami some life again.
On the turn, Stefanelli cuts to the middle. Stefanelli seems to have found favor with the new boss.
Yep.
Frey lets it run. Here's Yedlin trying to get the goat horns off. Blessing with a little contact. Wide for Taylor, edge of the 18. Elects to drop it back. Frey now into the middle for Martinez. But with Martinez 30 yards from goal, no one's in the box. Here's Allen across the middle. Plays it now for Frey. A little far away. Slots it into the area looking for Taylor. And a desperation touch by Boateng out for the corner.
Yeah, that's the great thing. If you have players like Jones and Boateng out wide that can really recover using their speed and just get a toe in, not to let that final ball fall for somebody inside the 80-yard box and then regroup on the set piece to corner against.
42% possession for Miami. 3 shots, only 1 on target. Played short from the corner as the rain picks up in intensity. Stefanelli, the cross. Frey at the back post, it was McVeigh, but he was ruled to have grabbed hold. So his header back to the middle, stopped by the whistle. And again, the rain pouring down. Nothing more depressing, perhaps, than a Boston evening in gray skies and drizzling rain, but 0-2 on the scoreboard doesn't make things any more positive.
No, it doesn't. And you look at it, a penalty when Yedlin had to scramble and maybe didn't make the right decision, but it was caught in no man's land. Contact is made. And then after Coco goes down with potentially a serious injury, the next set piece, Polster, makes it 2-0.
Again, that is something, not putting the blame on the youngsters, but they're watching one of their teammates maybe out for the season and maybe turned off a switch for a moment. Sloppy in the middle, gets away. Stefanelli taking it from Polster. Little shake and bake to try and turn the corner. Wide for Kramaski, who has gone into that right wing position, but his cross doesn't stay in play. Hits the side netting shy of the post.
And continues the frustration for Martinez, who's desperately looking for service inside the 18-yard box, in particular when he's involved initially in the build-up, wants to get rewarded, and that final pass, again, not there. A struggle for Inter Miami, not just this year, Phil, but throughout the history of this franchise. Chance creation in that final third, not always there, or rarely there, let's put it that way.
Polster from Heel to draw the penalty, then Heel to Polster for the second. Here's Jones breaking down the right wing, trickles it across. Callender thought he could get there, but couldn't. The cross from Boateng, a little too hard for Polster. Back for Bo, his shot blocked away by McVeigh. Actually, Frey, who had dropped back to the back line. And New England has Miami on their heels.
And as good as organized Inter Miami was defensively, particularly that back four, since that penalty, a total scramble right now, and New England taking the game by the scruff.
Oh, again, trying to cut into the 18, double teamed. Allen trying to stay with him. Towards the corner he goes, poked away by the youngster. For $33 plus fees, you can reserve your pre-sale voucher towards an Inter Miami license plate. From each voucher sale, the Inter Miami Foundation gets approximately 75% of the funds using towards their foundation programs benefiting at-risk and underserved kids. With programming geared towards education, food security, and wellness. 42nd minute, Revs whistled for a foul. It'll be Inter Miami throw. Still a chance to cut into this lead. But the main thing is at this point, stop the bleeding. Up the middle for Ruiz. Took the extra step. Up comes Blessing to block the outlet ball. Miami throw 35 yards into their own end. Yedlin, Ruiz, but he pops it up. Boateng pokes it forward. Frey reaching out to get it, but also perhaps to stop the break with the trip and a yellow card. Poor touch from Ruiz, and it leads to an instant Rebs break. By the way, Yedlin, the only player on either team that needs to worry about a caution. If he gets one, he's missing the match against Philadelphia. But now Frey in the book.
From a composed first 20 minutes, Phil, up till the first goal, Inter Miami, right now they've lost their poise, their concentration, and New England is rattling their cages.
Hill. Wide for Boateng. Stefanelli on that far flank does enough to force the errant cross. Talked about potential changes. Still, the transfer window not open for another few weeks. Jones sending it wide for Hill. Drives on McVeigh, who makes the block at the goal line, bounces back to Hill, and Hill retreats. Holster with the fancy footwork, but well read by Frey, and a little touch down the line to start a break for Miami, but runs into heavy turf. I think he thought Stefanelli might move, but he didn't. Revs get it back. McVeigh reaching out, seemed to catch Jones in the process. Maybe kind of a big man's foul as the 6'4" defender towering over Jones, but now in the book as he stops the break.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Phil. That's a big man's foul. Arm comes out, which I used to as a defender as well, but makes contact with the face. That's a strong arm that continued to stay up there. Not a motion towards Jones's face, but clearly a foul of McVeigh, and gets a yellow card as well just before the halftime. Not a good thing.
Talk about the availabilities. Well, they are limited. They're better than they had been. Campana and Pisado, the veterans, and the promising youngsters in Ascona and Borgelin. Cannot afford to give up a third before the half, though. Keel, the restart. Long, grabbed by Callender at the edge of his 6. Nothing open, so he'll wait for play to develop.
Yeah, you like to think at this score line, and one or two players right now in the last 20 minutes underperforming, that Javi Morales might make one or two changes at the half, in my opinion, to alter his game a little bit based on what he's seen of New England and based on what he's seen of his own team right now. And that will come down to
Ray slotting it through, just a little heavy on the wet turf.
who is performing well, who's underperforming. How can I change the complexity of this game and get us back into being down 2-0 in that second half?
Ray wins the clearance header and guides it to Stefanelli, who retreats. 5 minutes added. Of course, we had the penalty and the injury. Unfortunately for Miami, both against them, but let's see if they can take advantage of the extra time. Stefanelli couldn't quite keep it in. Trickles across despite his best efforts. Right in front of the Minutemen in the near side corner at Foxborough.
Yep, they were there from day one.
The Midnight Riders. And again, talking about all the happenings in Miami, which are global in nature. But I don't think MLS fans have an idea of how much Boston would take to this team if they can ever get that stadium built
Yeah, and get natural grass. I mean, I look at Coco Jean right now. That's turf related, Phil.
Martinez, Stefanelli tried to screw that ball through the back line, but Romney back in time. Laid out by Hill, bounces over Jones. There's still time here. Got 3.5 minutes. See if Inter Miami can get composed and create.
There's probably one individual that might be looking at this game with interest and might just say, that turf is not for me.
Long ball through. Blasted back the other way by Christian McCoon. A little bounce in a favorable direction. Ruiz runs onto it. Has some help inside, but tries to do the step over. Bundled over in a double team with Romney and McCoon, but no whistle. Ruiz.
I like the mere fact that Ruiz gets in that position well.
But he had two players he could have passed to. Perhaps we'll get in that in a moment. Hill trying to slot the ball through, deflected away as Krivtsov had stayed upfield. Now McVeigh starting to break the other way. Allen slides it in. Stefanelli across midfield. Yedlin sends it wide. We've still got a couple minutes remaining. Kramaski. Taylor changing a bit of the formation. Kramaski's gone wide to give Taylor a foil. Stefanelli in the middle with Ruiz. Wide for the Finn. In for the Stefanelli. Touch in for Kramaski. Has help with Martinez. Lays it back for Frey. Lots of possession, but no closer to goal. 49th minute. Frey. Wide for Allen. Against Jones. In for Kramaski. Top of the box, laid back. Stefanelli gets the shot, and it skims off the turf, but right to the midsection of Petrovic.
That's some nice combination play centrally. Phil ends up with a shot, but again, not menacing enough, never threatening back four with any great duress, putting somebody in a position to really force Petrovic and making some saves. Has not happened yet.
Rolled into the middle for Polster, who along with Hill have created the two tallies for the Revs in this opening half. And Miami winning 3 of the 5 meetings to this point. Last year, both home teams won. In 2021, both road teams won. With Inter Miami winning at home, Revs trying to keep that tendency going. 50th minute, halfway done. Revs retreat, content with the 2-0 lead. They'll play it all the way back to the Serbian netminder. Launching it long. Wood was offside, so they'll let it bounce back to Callender. Maybe one last chance if Miami rushes. 27th minute penalty from Hill. Moments later, Corentin Jean going down. And on the ensuing restart, the header from Polster makes it 2. The whistle from Sergei Boyko, and we have reached the half at Gillette. The New England Revolution walk to the dressing room with a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, Yetland gives away a silly penalty, in my opinion, Phil, and Hill finishes calmly, obviously, the 28th minute. Up till that time, Inter Miami, very much the better team, and the night gets worse for Inter Miami. Coco Jean leaves the field on a stretcher. Right thereafter, on a corner, Polster, who, by the way, drew the foul as well, gets New England 2-0. Pressure really on Javier Morales, how he's going to change this game in the second half with some smart substitutions. Pressure on for a team, again, that has not scored 5 out of the 6 games on the road. And the Goose Eggs continues for Inter Miami, who started brightly, Phil, but just faltered towards the end.
Score at the half, New England 2, Inter Miami nothing. Stay with us. The halftime show is next.
Breaking news from AM 560 Sports WQAM is presented by BetQL. Smarter bets start with BetQL. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com today.
Did you know that more lives are lost to lung cancer each year than breast, colorectal, and prostate cancers combined? Lung cancer will claim more than 135,000 lives this year. But new treatments have improved survival for many with the disease and offer new hope for many more. So does lung cancer screening with low-dose chest CT. The American Cancer Society and most major professional organizations recommend that adults ages 55 and older with a long history of smoking, even if they have quit, should talk with their doctor to learn more about lung cancer screening. Lung cancer screening saves lives by detecting lung cancer early when it's more successfully treated. So, ask your doctor if lung cancer screening is right for you. And if you smoke, ask your doctor to help you quit. Visit the National Lung Cancer Roundtable website at nlcrt.org. That's nlcrt.org.
The Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council present the story of Cynthia and Ed.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, out of the blue, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn or just stay at the stop sign. She wasn't even really sure where she was at. She was very concerned. It was very unsettling for her.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it, to bring the family in on it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.